All right, how's everybody doing today? Welcome back to You Don't Know Ball. And I figured again, it's only right. PFF updated those rankings again, so that means it's only right. We got to do a reaction. And again, I got my sliders all the way set. I'm switching up a few things where normally I'll give it some leeway where I'll let the public decide a little bit. I'll let the positional value, I'll change it a little bit. But today I did draft for needs more, positional value more, public board versus PFF. I want all the way PFF. I want to see what PFF thinks is the best course for each of these teams. As always, let's get right into it. First off the board, Caleb Williams. That's what's going to happen. No surprise. Number 2, Drake May. Interesting because, I just heard rumblings today, and I haven't heard them before today, but there's been some news breaking, if you haven't heard. The Commanders just might be targeting J.J. McCarthy with that second overall pick. Told everyone JJ was going to be rising. Now, to number 2, I didn't even see this coming. Now, it could be smoke, could be the case. Definitely something to keep our eye on, though. And then number 3, again, the Patriots going Marvin Harrison Jr. Just if you could trade down or anything else, you'd get way better value. Again, I know these computers just aren't coded. And I'm rolling my eyes at this point because it's getting a little bit ridiculous. Can we please code the computer to make some trades with each other, because that's just not the best value for the Patriots. I'm sorry. And then number 4, we got Malik Neighbors off the board. Not really a surprise. And again, probably if Marvin is not there, the route that the Cardinals very likely will go. So no surprises. And then number 5, Rome Odunze. So we got the big 3 receivers going right in a row. Marv, Malik, Rome. Again, Rome at 5. Nothing wrong with that. Don't see a problem with it. Maybe not the route they're going to go, but at the same time, if he's sitting here and he's the last receiver, I feel like it's either going to be probably Bowers or Odunze at this point. Again, they could go other directions, but I just feel like that's probably what they're going to lean towards, especially with the regime they have, their drafting history. So Rome here, nothing wrong with that. That's definitely a great pick. And then again, Joe Alt at number 6. Not the biggest fan in the world. Like, the Giants desperately need a quarterback. Joe Alt is left tackle. You guys already have a left tackle. Not feeling that one very much. And at number 7, we have Cooper DeJean. Just going to be honest with y'all again, I love Coop. Think he's one of the best players in this year's class, just from a NFL-ready standpoint. But he's a DB. He's probably more of a safety than a corner. And for positional value, again, at number 7 here, this is just, in my opinion, not the route to go, especially when you have so much work to do on the O-line. You got to protect Levis. Not a fan of that pick. And then at pick 8 here for the Falcons, Byron Murphy. Definitely not the pick that I would have expected him to go. However, I love the pick. I mean, Grady Jarrett's getting older. Yes, Anyamata's on this line, still producing very well. But regardless, when we come in, we play that 3-4, we need another interior rusher, and he's someone we can rotate into nickel. If anything, I think he'll take one of those starters nickel spots soon enough. Again, if y'all don't know and you haven't been listening, but if you have, I'm so high on Byron Murphy. I don't really think it matters where he goes. He will be a starter eventually. It's just a matter of when. And going on this Falcons D-line, rotating early, but it doesn't really matter. He's going to find a starting role eventually, and I do think he's one of the most touted players after this year's class. He should be, and he's kind of still under the radar for some people, but not for me. Byron Murphy all the way, one of the best players in this year's class, and the Falcons getting great value there at pick 8. And then pick 9. We have the Chicago Bears taking Jerzon Newton. Funny enough, because, I've been saying, normally when I do my mocks recently, but if Byron Murphy's available from here to pick 9 for the Bears, I'll go with him. And I catch a lot of flack sometimes for it. But hear me out again, if PFF think the same thing as me, there's nothing wrong with getting another fast, athletic interior rusher to add to this D-line, bolster, getting Montez Sweat more one-on-ones. I mean, all of a sudden, this Bears D-line is getting terrifying. And again, like I said, Byron probably the preferred guy here, but Jerzon Newton, still a super high upside, great player in this year's class, maybe fall under that radar a little bit, but I'm telling you, still a guy going to come in, I think very pro-ready and surprise a lot of people, have a great career. And then pick 10 to the Jets, we got Talise Fuaga. Assumingly with the way that the Jets have built this line now, I guess you're assuming we're going to kick Talise over to guard, but that doesn't really matter to me too much. I think Talise projects very well to guard. Again, projects to tackle or guard just fine. One of these versatile guys, definitely not playing center, but I think you can play him in the interior, outside. Doesn't really matter. I think you're going to get great production out of him. Just an absolute mauler, just a mean offensive lineman like we've said. Sure, he's a great guy, but out there on that field, man, he's coming for you. And this would be, just another bodyguard to add to Aaron Rodgers. The new running joke. Aaron Rodgers is VIP security. So, gotta love it. Talise Fuaga here at pick 10. And then pick 11 to the Vikings, Brock Bowers. I mean, Brock Bowers and Justin Jefferson, that's fun and cool. But y'all still need a quarterback. That was a bad first round pick considering the circumstances. And then at number 12, again, the Broncos, another team desperately needing that quarterback. You had one of your guys sitting on the board, potentially a couple of your guys, pass on him. Quinyon Mitchell, getting good value, pairing up Pat Surtain, but regardless, just you needed the QB. That's not the pick right there. And finally, the Raiders using their brain in this mock. I was getting a little bit pissed off here, I'm not going to lie to y'all. Jayden Daniels finally off the board. Man, it was really, this mock's been frustrating me so far. We got the Vikings passing on Jayden, the Broncos passing on Jayden, and passing on someone else I won't name. I'm sure he's going to be coming up here soon, but man, oh man. It's good to see the Raiders finally start using their brain in this mock. We're finally back on track. And then pick 14 to the Saints. Again, as a Saints fan, I've said this has happened before in these simulations. Troy Fautanu to the Saints would be money. I would love it. Guy we can play anywhere on the line. We so desperately need O-line help. Troy Fautanu, I would love to have you over here as a New Orleans Saint. And then pick 15 to the Colts here, Nate Wiggins. Again, this is just one of those high-risk, potentially high-reward scenarios. You know, Nate Wiggins' frame, scaring people last year after the Emmanuel Forbes debacle. And again, Emmanuel Forbes could still revive his career, but just taken so early, not panning out the way with that frame. I think it's going to scare more teams away in more recent future drafts because of that. But again, that could just be an anomaly situation where vice versa, Nate Wiggins could be the anomaly where he comes in at this undersized frame and just has a great season. We've seen he's lanky, he has good instincts, he's obviously very fast after the combine. It's more just a matter of staying healthy and being able to play within that frame. But you come over to the Colts, bulk him up a little bit. It certainly is not bad value. It's just more potential home run value. But I don't mind it at all. You know, you're the Colts. You're in a position where you got to start taking some shots. I like the shot right here at Nate Wiggins. And then at pick 16, the Seattle Seahawks going absolutely ballistic. I don't know how he fell this far. Dallas Turner coming off the board right here. Again, one of these potential blue chip prospects out of this year's class. We have now an edge of Boye Mafe and Dallas Turner. Scary hours over there in Seattle with that combination. And then Terrion Arnold to the Jaguars at pick 17. I've definitely been seeing this become more of a popular destination for Terrion, and rightfully so. This would be a fantastic spot for him. Again, we need a DB for the Jags. A guy with just good, high pedigree, rose over the last season, consistently got better. And just the intangibles he has, seems like he'd be a really good dude. I think he would fit very well in this Jaguars DB room. So you're getting great value here at pick 17 if you're the Jaguars. And then pick 18, the Bengals going with Olo Fashanu. And I love it, man. It's kind of a weird scenario where likely Olo wouldn't really start this year, but it gives you the contingency for the future because Trent Brown just on that 1-year deal already kind of had some injury troubles in his career. So if something happens this year, you already have a guy that can step in immediately for you, replace him, and if not, you have a guy sits, learns, digests from 2 great offensive linemen all year long, and is getting ready, bolstering for the future when it's really time to start him. You know, again, it's kind of an interesting scenario, but I do love it for Olu, and I think for Bengals fans, this would be a sneaky, more of a future reward than an immediate reward, but I think this would be a great landing spot for Olu. At pick 19, we got Jared Verse to the Los Angeles Rams. This is just a money pick. Again, another one of these potential blue chip type guys out of this year's class. It's just a matter of, where he lands, and him landing on this Rams defense with already these up-and-coming young defenders, up-and-coming pass rushers on top of it. We throw them on this young line. All of a sudden, that Rams defense is kind of coming together, and very quickly, might I add. And then pick 20 to the Steelers, J.J. McCarthy. It's the second fucking simulated mock we've done in a row where the Steelers take a third-string quarterback who's a rookie after they just traded for Russell Wilson. Justin Fields, same year. It's got to be a coding error or some shit because that's just a garbage pick, and I just kind of pissed me off, to be frank with you guys. Anyways, let me get over my frustration here from pick 20. Pick 21, we got J.C. Latham to the Dolphins. Way to get my spirits up. It looks like we'll be kicking J.C. over to guard in this situation, and this is something that's happened before in these mocks, simulated, and ones that I've done. Again, this, I think, would be fantastic value for the Dolphins, where, again, maybe you don't think of JC as a guard right off the bat, but I definitely think he's got that versatility in the NFL, maybe even a higher ceiling there in the NFL. And as far as this simulation goes, we're about to find out, I guess. So pick 22 for the Eagles, very interesting. We got them going with Latu. Now, again, it makes sense if you consider that they said they're going to potentially be, or most likely be, trading Hassan Reddick. I know he requested the trade. So, assuming Reddick's not there, I actually love this value for them. It's sneaky because it's not necessarily something you think of immediately as a need for them, but because it's even really not the biggest need, regardless of when they lose Reddick or not, the D-line is still pretty stouted out, very, you got a good unit. But you add Latu and just bolster it. Y'all know my philosophy, man. The trenches win you and lose you games. If you can just have one of the best, pass rush units in the entire league, again, keep this being your MO. Nothing wrong with it. Obviously, what the Eagles are going for here. And if Latu ended up on that Eagles D-line, that could definitely be very interesting and very scary for opposing offenses. All right, at pick 23, the Vikings cleaned up their initial errors a little bit more from earlier, because now all of a sudden, right, we got Bo Nix, and then we also took Brock Bowers. I got to take back what I said. Maybe just a little bit. Maybe the Vikings are cooking just a little bit here. But regardless, I don't think this is the route they're going to go. I think they have something else in mind. But at least in this mock, all of a sudden, I'll say the haul, you're taking home Brock Bowers and Bo Nix in the same, first round. That's definitely not the worst thing. You cleaned it up a little bit. And then Amarius Mims at pick 24. Literally just the pick me and Hunter did earlier in the mock that we did together, our co-2-round mock. Definitely go check that one out if you haven't already. But regardless, on this mock, I just think it's great value. You bring in the most athletic O-lineman in the entire class, a guy with such a high ceiling. Such a high ceiling. But the questions arise around the health, and is he going to be able to stay out there for us, and how raw he is from a size perspective and all that. You're not going to get a better tackle out of this year's class. And him going to the Cowboys with their track record of just taking the athletic linemen that people have question marks about and turning them into just very, very productive players, him going to the Cowboys, basically the dream landing spot for Amarius Mims. And then at pick 25, Graham Barton to the Packers. Love this pick. Again, whether you want to play him at tackle, play him at guard, probably lean towards playing him at guard, but you still have that tackle versatility. They've already had a smaller tackle, quote unquote, than David Bakhtiari, who showed he can dominate on this Packers O-line. Obviously, different scenario with Aaron Rodgers and everything. But the Packers have shown, they're not afraid to go with the, smaller offensive lineman, play him at tackle. Same time, again, I still do think Graham Barton is going to be playing guard for them if they, if this is the route they go. But the point is, you're getting great value regardless because you have different options. And then at pick 26, maybe my favorite simulated pick of this whole mock so far, we got Jackson Powers-Johnson right here to the Bucs, who so desperately need him post Ryan Jensen. There's just no doubt about it. This is fantastic value. I don't even think that Jackson Powers is going to fall this far in the real draft, let me be clear. So again, getting him at pick 26, just absolute money right here from the Bucs in this simulation. And then at pick 27, Brian Thomas Jr. for the Cardinals. So all of a sudden, we're pairing together Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., and this receiving core over there in Arizona, very quickly getting bolstered. Again, that Trey McBride as the tight end. Yeah, all of a sudden, we got ourselves a real offensive unit over there in Arizona. And then Tyler Nubin to the Buffalo Bills at pick 28. This, I take back what I just said about Jackson Powers-Johnson, because now this takes the cake as my favorite pick in this whole mock. The Bills definitely are going to very much need a safety out of this year's class. And if they want to target him first round and get who I believe is the best safety out of this year's class, and a guy, like I said before, who I do believe has potential all-pro ceiling at the position, one of these guys who's kind of stayed under the radar, but, if you've really been watching throughout the process, Tyler Nubin has so many great traits. A guy who can come in year one, kind of have that Antoine Winfield type effect, from a couple years ago, if you remember when he was drafted by the Buccaneers, just come in, dominate from day one. I think you could be getting a guy with those same intangibles right here in Tyler Nubin. And for a team already as competitive as the Bills, this is just another money selection right here in the first round. And then at pick 29, seemingly the Detroit Lions are going with the Derek Barnes replacement in Peyton Wilson. Very interesting. Again, I don't think that Peyton's going to go this early, but if there was a team that would take him off the board, these gritty Dan Campbell Lions would definitely not be the ones to surprise me. So, and I don't think it's bad value. Again, he worries you a little bit with the injury history, but hey, the Lions show they're not afraid to take shots on guys that they value. If the Lions value Peyton Wilson, would not be shocked to see him off the board right here at pick 29. And then the Baltimore Ravens at pick 30 going Adonai Mitchell. I just love this pick. For Lamar, just give him a big, just fluid guy with just the biggest catch radius. And again, I love Adonai Mitchell. There's so much to love about him. Guy who's going to come out here, throw his body around, big size, blocking this offense. I think you're getting fantastic value with Adonai Mitchell here at pick 30. Again, one of these guys where it's kind of hard to range where Adonai is going to go. I do picture him going late first round. He could go anywhere from like mid to late first to early second. But he ended up on the Ravens in this mock, and I think that's a fantastic landing spot. And then Tyler Guyton to the Niners at pick 31. This has just become a very common spot for him, but rightfully so. Again, let him sit behind Colton McKivitz for a year or Trent, wherever you want to play him. If Trent stays for a couple years, he's learning behind Trent for as long as possible because, The thing about Tyler is he's a much more raw prospect. You throw him in year one right away, I don't think you're going to get the best results. But you let him sit even just a year, soak up all that knowledge from a great O-line group and one of the best offensive linemen of all time. I think all of a sudden, we have a guy who can come in and produce and be a great pro. So I love this pick here for the Niners at pick 31. Fantastic value, especially because there's not really many pressing needs for the Niners. And you already know how it goes. We got to wait and see. It's going to cook it up for us. We got to scroll at the moment of truth. And I think that's the third time in a row we've done a PFF sin. This has got to be a record. Ladd McConkey right here to the Chiefs. Is it a sign, man? Is it an omen? Jokes aside, again, as we said, as we always will. Ladd to the Chiefs would just be money. I think it would be potentially the best landing spot for Ladd and for Mahomes. I think they would just pair so well. He would complement everyone else in this receiving group very well. So nothing wrong with Ladd going to the Chiefs at pick 32. All right, and thanks so much for sticking around. If you enjoyed, drop a like, drop a sub. We'd love to see you back, and you have a great rest of your day.